Hi, I'm Fiona Czerniawska. I'm a Director of Source for Consulting. I want to spend a few minutes talking about the French consulting market. It's not been the greatest of markets in Europe for the last year or so. Going back to 2012, we think it shrank by about 3%. First half of 2013 looks slightly better. My sense is it's probably been about flat, and that's felt better for consulting firms, but it's not a dramatic change. And I think the second half of 2013, again, a slight improvement, but nothing dramatic on the agenda here. And we can see that when we look at some of the research we've done with French clients. French clients are more cautious about 2014 than they are in any other country we've surveyed, so any other major consulting market. About a third of them expect to spend more on consultants in 2014, but about a third expect their expenditure to remain pretty static. And then the remaining third expect it to fall, so pretty evenly balanced. And that compares to, say, the German market. And in Germany, 55% of clients expect their spending on consultants to increase, about 40% expected to stay the same, and the balance expected to fall. So there's quite a difference there in terms of client attitudes. Why is that? Well, I think the French economy still is under a bit of a shadow. There was a lot of upheaval early in the year, and people haven't quite forgotten that. But I think more importantly for consultants, there are two things that seem to be acting as brakes on the French consulting market. The first is that there's less transformation work around. We've estimated that between a third and two-thirds of all growth in consulting at the moment globally is taking the form of large-scale transformation projects. So that's a project which extends over borders, involves different disciplines, usually a significant IT component, although IT is not always the major driver. But crucially, it's focused on changing what the business is, not really what the business does, but what the business is at quite a fundamental level. There's less of that activity happening in France. If anything, French clients are more interested in regular, simple, straightforward cost reduction, and they don't always need consultants to help them do that. They're pretty aware of how to take costs out of their business. So if you're a consulting firm, what could you do to exploit whatever opportunities there are there? We ask clients to talk about the factors that would make them spend more on consultants in the next year or so. I think the bad news is that they like price cuts. They're not unusual or unique in this, but they're certainly more marked in their opinion. So almost 60% of French clients say that if you cut your prices in half, they'd buy a lot more consulting. Now, consulting firms aren't going to do that, but it does show you just how people would view a price cut. However, half of the French clients we spoke to would also use a lot more consulting if it was in some way tied to the results of what's being achieved. So risk-reward or some kind of performance-related element is becoming an increasingly important part of this market, and firms that can make that work will have a significant advantage. If we look across the other areas that clients say will encourage them to use more consultants, the three that really stand out are all linked, which is all about specialist skills. Around a third of clients will spend a lot more if they could see that the consultants they would like to use are highly skilled in one area, if they really understand their business and sector, they've got very specific knowledge that the client doesn't have. They're much more interested in France in specialisation and firms that have a focus than in more generalist firms. There's an admiration for deep expertise, and that's really coming through at the moment from clients. So if you're a consulting firm and you want to expand in a difficult French market, you can rely on the market, I think, to get a little better over the next year. You could cut your prices significantly, but to a point where really it doesn't make sense economically for your business. The only real thing that you can do is focus absolutely on where your areas of true strength are. Articulate that, talk about it to clients, prove that you've done work in that area. If you can tie that to, in some way, performance-related fees, then you've got the kind of model that clients in France want from consultants. If you'd like to know more about our report on the French consulting market, you can go to our website, www.sourceforconsulting.com. Speak to you in the new year with our new research on the French market.